Alright, so this week looks like we're going to be doing some more masonry. Got to get my honeydews done before I can spend more time in the garage. So let's go over this project that I've been working on. This week we're adding the veneer, the stone veneer, onto the outdoor kitchen. Here you can see we've got two sections done. And let me take you through the necessary tools and skills that you'll need to get this portion of the project done. All right, so first thing you'll need is some stone. This is just Oklahoma flagstone, and you can see this is pretty thin stuff. This is like 1 inch thick, maybe even a little thinner in some places. And you can buy it this way. We get our stuff locally sourced. And so, you know, we go out to a stone yard and pick the colors that we like specifically so we can get a good contrast in different colors. But one of the other parts of this project was, this is 2-inch Oklahoma flagstone. This is the countertop. And so what we've done on some of these cases is we've taken the scrap from the 2-inch sections and we've cut them in half. This is one piece right here that used to be a 2-inch section that we cut this entire section in half widthwise. Let me show you real quick how that works. So what we're going to do when we make this is a piece of 2-inch. You can see how it has some grain in it. This is sedimentary rock, so it has a strata, and you want to be able to run a crack along the inside of one of these and get it to pass all the way through a large piece. Here's a good example. You make a couple of taps here and there, and some little taps along a grain, and use that same grain line that you started on. You already see a crack. And run that crack all the way down. See that crack forming right here? The impulse is to keep banging where the crack starts, but you don't want to do that because then you'll just shear it off. But if you continue to run the crack, see I've got another crack here, another crack there, they're all connected. Flip it over, do the same thing on this side. Try to get it in the same crack zone. Kind of got to do the monkey feet. And you get a crack started and it will volunteer. It just pops like that. You may have to do it on both sides. You can see on this one I tapped it here, 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 and then a couple of taps on this side and it just popped right open like that. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this one to do the same thing. They don't always cooperate. It is, you know, natural stone, so it's not that predictable. Just try to pick the same grain line. This one looks like it wants to shred into pieces. That's okay, you don't have to worry about that. We're building a series of cracks. You can't even see them at this point, but there's a series of cracks that are developing in the form that will eventually pop. Having a chisel with a rubber barrier on it will keep you from breaking your knuckles too, so that's a big thing. Now this piece here is a piece of scrap, and you see we already worked the edge. When you have an edge that's already worked like this, there's already little tiny fractures in here, so it's going to be kind of hard to get this piece. But let's see what we get. It's a lot better to use your scrap than to buy new stuff. Yeah, see how that's already fracturing? It's going to do that. all about little tiny fractures. Let's go back on this side. I can see a little bit of a fracture forming right here. There you go, see the crack forming? Right along here. Let's see if we can get that crack to develop without splintering off like this. That was on this white line. Alright, so here you can see I got a good crack going. This is still not going to go the whole distance, but you can see how you can run a crack and make it run through the whole piece. See how it's starting to crack along the whole line here? All we gotta do now is find this piece of strata on the other side, which is not going to be that hard because it's already cracked all along this side too. I think if we hit it on this end right here, we'll be able to break that right on that strata. Let's see what we can get. I think it's like right about here. Okay. There you go. That gives you a whole big piece that you can use on the structure of your veneer. You're gonna need a lot of little oddball pieces, but the real trick here is to get the ones with some nice color so that you can get those accent pieces. All right, so let's move on and go over some of the other things you need to do. All right, so the next thing you want to do is you want to figure out your pattern. We're doing this as just the pair, the two of us. So we're very limited in how much that we can do per session. By session, I mean you have the thin set in here. You have to do a batch of thin set and then put it up on the wall before the thin set dries, and then do another one. So this is yesterday's effort right here, and you can see you lay out your pattern. We've laid out the pattern here, and then we'll lay it out on the floor, clean them off to make sure we got the right colors that we want, and then you'll do a scratch coat. The scratch coat is you can see the little lines in there, and that makes it rough and so that it will adhere. And then you back butter the individual tiles and you lay them into place. But you need to do the prior planning to make sure that you have all the right pieces, all the right colors, and that they're going to fit in the section that you intend on doing. So let's cut away, and then I'll cut do some cuts, and we'll show you how that works out. Here's an example of some of the tools that you'll need to be able to cut these. We're going to cut them into nice square pieces so that we can put them into the veneer on the wall. But how do you cut stone, right? You can cut stone with a chisel. It'll make irregular shapes and you can chip it off, and it takes a lot of time to do that. And with the 1-inch pieces, they're so brittle that it really is better to cut them with a diamond blade. This is my 4.5-inch angle grinder, and we've got it fit with a diamond blade on here. You can feel that there's not like a traditional saw would have a rough cutting edge, but you can feel like a roughness to this, and that's those are industrial diamonds. They'll cut right through that stuff. I wouldn't say like butter, but they do a really good job. Make a lot of dust, so make sure that you've got some dust control, a good face mask, and some gloves handy. You will go through these diamond blades. Here's one that's been used up. There's no roughness to it at all, and you can see there's some heat stress right here, and even pieces of the edge are missing on this one. So this one has used itself up, You can extend the life of these diamond blades by dribbling a little bit of water from a plastic cup or something into the groove while you're cutting it. What I like to do is first we'll have a line drawn where I'm going to cut it. I'll run just a light etching score cut along that line so that when I pour the water on it, I won't lose my my measurements. Then I can go back. It also makes a groove for the water to hang out in to keep the blade a little cooler. So that's just one technique. This will cut through the 1-inch with no problems, but for the 2-inch, you have to either flip it over and then crack it again, so you won't be able to get all the way through the 2-inchers, or you can use like a skill saw, and they sell these masonry bits that you can put on here. You can see it's got a masonry bit on there. It's got plenty of life still left in this thing. I'll tell you straight away though, the amount of dust that's created will wear out your skill saw. And so if you have an old skill saw that you want to put into service for this, you'll probably kill your skill saw using a masonry bit on it, because it just creates so much dust. It gets into the brushes and whatnot, and it will really badly affect the operation of your skill saw. I've had this one for years and years. It just keeps working, so I'm going to try to beat it up. We've only used this one for the really thick pieces on the countertop. And problem with the skill saw is it has difficulty, believe it or not, cutting a straight line. It takes skill to run a skill saw. So that's just another way that you can do a shortcut for cutting these really thick pieces. This really runs slow and it takes a lot of work, but it will get all the way through a 2-inch piece of that flagstone. So let's go ahead and cut a couple pieces and we'll show you how it works. This is actually a really good example of a piece here. You see we've got some lines drawn on here. This piece is not just a straight square, it's actually an L piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the saw up to the edge of the line and up to the edge of the line, and that's actually, because it's circle, it won't actually meet, right? But when you flip it over, you'll be able to make it meet from the back side, and then you won't have any crisscross here at the junction point. I'll show you how that works. So just a basic cut along the edge. This is more of a trimming cut than an actual through cut, and then we'll run this side over here. Let me go ahead and show you how that works. Alright, I'm going to throw a little water on there to keep the blade cool and keep the dust down, but now I have the lines all etched out. I'm not worried about the water. Alright, let's go ahead and make our through cuts. Oops, there you go. Nicely done. All right, moving on. Let's do a couple hours of this and then cut into how to do the thin set. All right. Here's an example of chipping the edges to make them look a little bit more natural rather than just cut with a saw. Want to run the edges along the edges like that. I just use a little masonry hammer and do some scrimshaw, so to speak. Just chip the edges off. I don't know if you can hear me through my my face mask, but it takes it. There's definitely a technique, and Hilda here has got that down pat. Bite your tongue, Jordan Peterson. Women can do masonry. The overall effect, let me show you what the overall effect looks like. Alright, so here you can see what it will look like when you trim those edges like that. It gives them a bit more of a natural feel. They don't look like they're just chopped out of a block of rock. They seem a little bit more natural. Alright, so I got a little bit more saw cutting to do, and then we'll get into laying down a scratch coat and putting the thin set up. On a particularly long cut, specifically when you have a thicker piece where the blade won't go straight through and you want to cut on the back side, the challenge is to get the two slots to match up. And so the easy way to do that is with a chalk line. If you take a chalk line and just put it in a notch like that, you should be able to snap a chalk line and get a really good measurement of where the two edges connect. Then you can just cut the line and it matches up perfect. Little trick. Alright, so this next little phase of work here, we're going to be changing up. The task is no longer about dust, it's more about protecting your skin. And so we're going to change our gloves from leather gloves to rubber gloves, because the lime in our thin set is it's a base. A base is very, very similar to what you might consider an acid. It's just a difference in pH, whether it's plus or minus. This will dry your fingers out, dry your skin out to the point where they'll crack and bleed. So you really want to protect your hands with some rubber gloves. So we're going to switch that up. This is 1/4 of a bag for this area of surface. I only know that measurement will work because we had left a bunch of scrap on the first one and I got it almost right on the second one. So this should be enough to finish this job right here. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you make sure that your surface is clean and dry, and we've done that already. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mix up the thin set, and with the first time that you mix it, you let it set for 10 minutes and then you can go to work. Once we go to work, we're going to put in a scratch coat. The scratch coat is the undercoat that that it actually sticks to, and when we do the scratch coat, we're going to lose our pattern. So in order to manage that, we've laid out the pattern right there. Let me zoom in on that. That is what it's going to go, and I can just start taking rows from the bottom and work my way up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add some water to this thing, get it to the right mixture of water and thin set, and then we'll let it set, and then we'll get on to the scratch coat. All right, this is the consistency that you're looking for. Like a really thick peanut butter. Should be smooth with no lumps. You should be able to put a Dairy Queen curl on it. Having fun here. There you go. So you can see that's kind of what you're looking for. You want to have it so that it'll stand on its own. All right, so once you first get it mixed up, you gotta let it set for 10 minutes. That will get it so that it's all the water is molecularly activated through all the lime and whatnot, and then it'll be ready for you to mix it up again and get busy. All right, so there's our scratch coat. The pattern that you have on it is less important than actually getting a good dense scratch coat. You don't want to have any high marks, but you don't want to have anything where it's not connected either. So that's a good scratch coat. Now, before we start putting up tiles, it's always good to get prepped. So what I got here is a bucket of water with a sponge and a poly brush. If you get some thin set on a tile, you're going to want to get that off as quick as you can. The front face should stay clean. It's okay for you to get a little stuff on it, but rub it off as quickly as you can. Also, I've got a bunch of spacers, so I can get the space. Once you get them up on the wall, you want to get them in and have the right spacing. Very seldom do you need to space it horizontally, but it's vertically. Once you get them on there, they tend to want to slope, you know, drop down a little bit. But those spacers will be very helpful. Have everything ready for you, ready to go, so that you can make everything work. All right, I'm gonna start putting some tiles up. Real quick, this is the bottom row in. This is the bottom course, all laid in there. I've got a little shim on the bottom to keep the tape from getting stuck. And you can see I've got a back butter on the back of the tile that is squishing out into the grooves from the scratch coat. You can see that right there. This little piece right here needs to be adjusted to fit into that right there. It was planned, so I'm going to do that manual adjustment a little bit later. But the rest of this is kind of time sensitive. I'm going to go ahead and bust through this and see if I'll take a break until I get closer to the top. All right, and that's that. We cut the rocks, we shaped them. We did a couple of coats of thin set, back buttered the stones, and got them up on the wall. So that is DIY masonry in your backyard on the skinny. Any questions at all, throw them in the comments. I'll be glad to answer anything you got. Cheers.